If there's any one character that everybody knows from the Next Generation, it's Data. He's an android, he has no emotions, he's just the best. And he's the next-gen character with the most consistent arc. He's incapable of feeling emotion, and he longs to be human. That straightforward premise combined with Brent Spiner's unstoppable charm allows for an infinite amount of wonderful Data stories throughout the series, eventually leading to the movies when he gets the emotion chip and then he gets all the emotions. Except there was a point in the series where they were setting up a very different trajectory for Data's character. And it all revolves around the sudden appearance and disappearance of one particular character. The second season of The Next Generation sets up and builds on the idea that Data already has emotions. They manifest differently from other characters, but he is very clearly motivated by emotion throughout this entire season. And even he doesn't realize it. The first story that shows this is what I would call the first great episode of The Next Generation, Elementary Dear Data. His appreciation for Sherlock Holmes is a consistent part of Data's character, but when he gets in costume and plays the part with Geordi on the holodeck, he isn't just playing a part. He's having fun. And that true, genuine delight was not a mistake or an oversight. He doesn't realize that he has these emotions because he gets caught up in the specifics of human emotion, like trying to tell a joke. This more emotional version of Data is largely explored through his interactions with Next Gen's most controversial main cast member, Dr. Pulaski. You probably know this, but Gates McFadden left the show after the first season, and Dr. Crusher was replaced with Diana Muldaur's new Doctor character. She offered a very different style to Dr. Crusher. She was Bones. They took Dr. McCoy from the original series and put that character in The Next Generation. She's a country doctor, suspicious of new technology with a particular distrust of the transporter. It's Bones. This character gets kind of a bad rap, but I always really appreciated how she shook up the overly civilized interpersonal dynamics of the crew. Pulaski's role in the show offers the first time any main crew member really challenges Data, in much the same way that McCoy challenges Spock in the original series. Her interactions with Data push him to subtle emotional reactions. He's a little bit offended when she calls him Data instead of Data, or when she questions his personhood. Even after this early tension is resolved, Pulaski is still pushing Data to emotional reactions. When she pressures him to challenge this jerk to what I'm pretty sure is an Xbox Connect game, Data becomes insecure about his abilities after he loses and refuses to go back to work, worried that he'll make a mistake and let down the captain. And then Picard has to show up and give him a pep talk. That's when he says the thing. You know, the quote, it's not weakness, that's life. The one that you see on the internet all the time. There's really two undeniable instances of Data having emotions in this season of Next Gen. The first is the one where they just say it out loud. I'm talking about when he grows a beard. Geordi tells Troy that Data is showing signs of insecurity. And when she tells him that that's impossible, he says, "Sometimes I think he's becoming more human than any of us realize." And that's it. That's the whole thing I'm talking about. He just says it. And then, for a brief shining moment, the show has two beards. If one beard made the show good, two beards must make it twice as good, right? That's just math. And then somehow it gets even clearer than that in the episode Pen Pals. This is an hour of television where Data breaks the Prime Directive and disobeys direct orders so he can save his friend he made on a doomed alien planet. Every choice Data makes in this episode, and there's a lot of them, is driven by emotion. I don't remember where, but I heard a story that Leonard Nimoy played Spock more expressively in the original pilot of Star Trek, when he was playing opposite the more restrained Jeffrey Hunter as Captain Pike. When CBS ordered a second pilot, Pike was replaced with Captain Kirk, played by the very much not restrained William Shatner. Since Nimoy now had a very different co-star, he intentionally changed his portrayal of Spock to strike a better balance with Shatner's decidedly less subtle acting style. I don't know the accuracy of this story. Maybe it was Nimoy, maybe it was the writers. But I only bring it up because Brent Spiner's portrayal of Data follows a very similar path. After Dr. Pulaski vanishes and is never heard from again, Data becomes the version we all know from the rest of the series, devoid of emotion. I don't know for sure that the departure of Pulaski influenced this dramatic change in his character arc, but it makes sense that removing the one main character that pushes Data's buttons, his metaphorical buttons, would coincide with the choice to abandon this particular aspect of his story. The second season of Next Generation often gets swept up with the first season as the bad ones before the show really gets itself together. And I think part of that is because of a misunderstanding of these Data stories. If Data is supposed to have no emotions, this might look like shoddy writing. But there's a very clear intent by the writers to push this idea that Data has emotions that are slowly starting to show through. And from the very beginning of Season 3, there's a noticeable change in not just the way Data is written, but how he's played. I'm not here to imply that this plotline is somehow preferable to how they wrote Data for the rest of the series, but aren't you just a little bit curious how that would have played out if they had let it continue? And Dr. Pulaski vanishes without a trace. She might have gotten a passing reference one more time in all of Star Trek, but let's just say it wasn't surprising when she didn't show up for Picard Season 3. I love Dr. Crusher as much as everybody else, but I think Dr. Pulaski deserved better. She's a good character, well written, well acted. I would have liked to have seen more. Justice for Pulaski. We love you, Catherine.